This is my defiant protest. This show will not be great again until the Raiders are great again. And since we know that is right around the corner, Mr. Mendoza. It's that time again for the best damn opening, woo, in Facebook and YouTube Live history. You know it's true because it came out of my face. Raiders! Let's go! I went back. You know how it is. I'm so hyped right now. Every time I do the research on our team, I get hyped because I love what's happening. I'm saying, keep it to a low roar. Woo! Didn't imitate it, never duplicated. Nah, that fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. The R8RBEAR. There's still seats in the front. Everyone get in here. Goodness. What's up, fam? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR tradish. R8RBEAR Live. First comment, MVP tonight. I don't have my comments on the screen. Okay, there we go. MVP tonight goes to the reigning, defending champion of the world, Mark Vargas. Mark, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there, winning with a R8RBEAR. Appreciate the love. Always in the house. Second place, my silver medal goes to John the Lion. Leon. Always dropping L's, but never taking losses. Our guy, John the Lion. Leon. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there. Okay, who was in third place today? Hoof! You already know. S.A. Big Dog. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR, becoming a regular around here. Honorable mention to Hendu, Mike Henderson. What's up, brother? Appreciate you always tuning in. Whoopsie daisy. My phone's still volume's still on. All right. Let me get down to Facebook. Carlos Boykins. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Our heavyweight champion of the world, Mr. Number One, numero uno. What happened to my silver medal tonight? That friend of mine, the fashion designer who makes the bear look so good, Jesse Parker! JP, what are you doing up here in my medal round? What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Hi, kids. I love his babies. They're beautiful. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Third place. My bronze medal goes to Jim, the G-Man, Garrison. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR. Respectfully, honorable mention to my guy, Joe Holman, and a longtime viewer of mine, Troy Gill. What's up, Troy? Welcome to the show. Todd, ECV, Good Times Benzel in the house. I see you there. Ellis Irving, how you doing, man? Appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. Appreciate you checking in. This is our year. We're going to start looking like a contender again this coming season. I say maybe 10 wins and a possible wild card berth. It's going to be a great start for the new regime. You know, I can't argue with that, Jim. I think that's spot on because I've seen Kirk Cousins' track record. It's good. You know what I mean? He may not be like the best. He's not all pro, but everywhere he goes, he wins. He just does, you know. Now, he also loses there, you know, if he stays there a while, but he tends to be a winner. But even more so than being a winner, he tends to be that dude. You know what I mean? I am him. You know what I mean? He, every once in a while, when you really need a guy to do something heroic, he's actually kind of known for that. I mean, if you really look back in his history, dude's made some plays in his past. Oh, excuse me. Bad things happening there. No, see, I'm too real. I'm not going off camera. Just deal with it. Okay. Now, I'm too real for that kind of stuff. But, you know, seriously, I do see Kirk Cousins coming in here and potentially winning double digits when you consider the moves we've already made both on the offensive line with our center and with our defense, with our new linebackers, bringing back our guy on the left side corner, Eric Stokes, and then now we got to just deal with the opposite side, which is going to show something interesting, I think, because I think there's a very good chance that whoever's going to be that DB on the other side might be someone already on the roster. I don't know if we're going to make a trade there. I think we will draft, though. We will look at another for a safety for sure, but also another potential cover corner. Jasper Beetle. Appreciate you, brother. Jasper Beetle. I like that. If I'm saying it wrong, you know, give me the hyphen or whatever, the phonics, and I'll say it again, brother. Yeah, I like Cousins' positivity and attitude. Yeah, and honestly, don't we all like a guy like that? I'm sure I've got at least a few guys and girls in here who've played any sort of, team sport. It doesn't matter what the sport is, but whenever you play a team sport, there's always that person on the team, if it isn't you, but there's always that person that's on the team that you just go, man, we're going to win. We have a chance with that guy. You know, we have a chance with that girl. She's a striker, you know what I mean, out there on the soccer field. He's a this, you know, or that. And he seems like he's that guy. I know he is to me. I know if I was out there playing wide receiver and they said, hey, Bear, this is going to be your quarterback, I'd be like, okay, I'm excited because I know every once in a while he's just going to look at me and throw it up. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like that. Anything's better than Gina. Yeah. I'm sure you meant Gino, right? I'm sure that Gina was a misspell. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Do we still have the chin? Can you give a shout out to my twin girls named after the Raiders, Madden and Bryn Tatum? I like that. Hi, Madden. Hi, Bryn. One time for you two. Hi, Raiders! Good to see you, Todd. Raising them right. They're cute little girls, too. Oh, both 5. I like it. Beautiful. Tim and Peggy, what's up, guys? My lovely wife ordered me to ask where you got that T-shirt. I work mostly from home. You want to go into the office. I wear a coat and tie, but she wants me to wear that T-shirt the next time there's a video conference. Well, when I have to go to this old guy's house to work because he thinks he knows everything, the heck of it, he's usually right. I got this one on $6 shirts. I'm not fancy, you know what I mean? Hot Topic and some of those other ones, they have some pretty funny ones too. What was the other one? It's something Shark. Robot Shark. Robot Shark has some really funny ones too. Or Shark Robot. I'm not sure. Try both. But yeah, you can get some pretty cool T-shirts from them. But $6 shirts, they're if you just go to $6 shirts, and then before you start looking at the shirts, go right to the categories and put humor. or funny. And you won't believe the rabbit hole you go down. They have hundreds of cool funny shirts. Armando Medrano, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. I think we're good at corner for now. Stokes and Porter draft a cornerback in the later rounds. Yeah, John, it would be in the later rounds regardless. But having said that, they're also talking about a wide receiver. So I'm starting to get a little bit anxious, like my guy Joe Holman, when it comes to, the defensive and the offensive line. Where's the big uglies going to get picked? You know what I mean? I have respect for big uglies. I don't want just a guy. I want a big ugly that can play. We did that with JPJ. I don't understand why we don't just follow that blueprint again. Just go get another hustler, you know what I mean, that wants to push people's face in the dirt. There's no good way to put it, okay? They have to go out there and be violent. I want that guy, that's not good looking, you know what I mean, doesn't have a good looking hot girlfriend. Even if he does have one, he just comes in and wants to eat people. You know what I mean? I want that guy. We should trade down for more picks. And don't draft Mendoza. It's a wrong move. Now, Troy, I'm not going to lie to you. Welcome to the show, brother. I'm not going to lie to you, Troy. I always love your comments. And I got to say, though, I don't agree with you on this one. Although I do agree with those people who say, how many first round number one pick quarterbacks have won Super Bowls? Maybe we could break the ceiling. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't checked the stat myself. I don't know if there hasn't been at least like one or two, but to my knowledge, I don't think any number one pick has ever won a Super Bowl. So there's food for thought for you. Should we go after the number one quarterback when you need a quarterback? Yeah. But I don't necessarily think we have to pick the guy that the analysts say we have to pick, or the experts say we have to pick. Maybe we have our own expert in the human Ken doll upstairs. Maybe. Now I'm kidding, because I wouldn't trust that guy with anything. I hate Tom Brady. Still. Bear, the Braves and the Athletics are in first place. Yeah, but you know how it is, Bob. My team will start to wear out, slow down, because we don't have a lot of depth, and your team will destroy everyone but the Dodgers. It's 6, and you write the word dollar shirts, Tim. Write it like all one word, because there's more than one, and you don't want to go the wrong one. It should be mostly a color green around the border of it. And it's $6shirts.com. Now that I think about it, now you got me wondering, is it the number 6 or is it no, I think it is. I think it's the number 6 $shirts.com, like that. And they spell out the word dollar. Matt Marinovich said it right there. Another JPJ. Yeah. I like what we did at center. That to me is the same kind of move. We're starting to look like an offensive line that can really do things, because once you get Colton Miller back, that's 3 out of 5 that are dudes that are bar bouncers. If we could get one more guy, even if he's already on the other team, if we could get a fourth guy within the line from one of these guys to really step up and play well, Fernando's, going to have a shot. Now, remember, though, we're building it. We're building the offensive line. It's going to come together. It's already begun. We know it's happening because we see the moves, but it's for Kirk Cousins for now. Kirk Cousins, guys, not only will start, but they may give him the whole year, honestly. See, and I think that if that does happen, something interesting is going to happen to you as a viewer and a fan. And before I say this, I'd appreciate it if everyone would hit like or subscribe. And remember that you got this information from this show, because I always try to bring insight that other shows, ESPN, other podcasters aren't bringing to the foreground. Okay, so with that year, if they do this and Kirk Cousins plays well and they give him the whole year, you could see a situation where he maybe starts year 2. And then you start talking about grooming Mendoza in at week 5, week 8, somewhere around there. Because if Kirk Cousins plays well, the kid's here. You know what I mean? We got him for 4 years on cheap money, at least, cheap by comparison to your normal star quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So here's where I'm going. I think that the NFL and its offense is becoming so complicated, especially when like Kubiak's, that's going to have a lot of adjustments. It's going to have a lot of pre-snap looks, and then you call the plays, things like that, where he has to be on it. Okay, you're talking about, and let's just be honest, you need a somewhat cerebral quarterback. You need a guy, and it's not about ethnicities, it's none of that kind of stuff, but you just need to, whoever you pick, black, white, whatever, he's got to be a fairly intelligent guy. You got to have a guy that can retain information, and then not only retain that information, but then do what quarterbacks do as they get more comfortable, start now making strategic decisions on his own. So if the quarterback is in the huddle and coach calls out play number 1 and play number 2, if Fernando gets up to the line and he sees that play number 3 or play number 5 is going to roast this defense, I want him to have the confidence of the coach from previous play and what he's doing in practice, to then on the field be that true general. That term we hear get thrown around all the time in the NFL, but be that real field general. If he becomes that is when you have someone special, because it is more rare than you guys realize. Most of offense in the NFL, especially the last 5-6 years, they are really just spoon feeding quarterbacks, even some veterans. That's why Russell Wilson was having so much trouble. They don't like that to get out, so you won't hear it talked about, but you will hear it talked about on this show. But the truth is, a guy like Russell Wilson should still be incredibly valuable. Is his arm blown up a little bit? Yes. Is he a little bit gun shy now because he's been taking hits? Yes. Is he still a Super Bowl winner that should have been a multi-Super Bowl winner, that has great play action motion and can throw one of the prettiest deep balls in football? Yes. So why is he struggling? Because these new age quarterbacks are saying to guys like him, I don't care if you like Windows 97. It's 2026. We're using AI over here. Now you need to learn how to use that and be proficient with it to the point where you can make decisions like this and burn defenses in the huddle. There's no way Fernando can be expected to be that guy from day one. I don't know that you can expect any quarterback to be that from day one. That's why I found a even higher level of respect for my Raider front office, in that they saw that has to be done. Don't ruin this kid because you bring him in too soon, because we're a desperate fan base and franchise that wants to start winning now. Bring in a guy who can win now and let Fernando be in school up here, still be in school, but up here on the field, seeing it done with a guy like Kirk Cousins, who will show him there are times where your coach, your team, and your fans need you to, give us that big play. Take a risk. See something down the field. If it's nice, let it fly. Derek Carr never got that. For 9 years, we sat back and watched a guy play safe football year after year after year after year. And I want to be clear, that's not an insult to Derek Carr. It just means he wasn't a guy that was going to try to raise the level of the team on his shoulders. He acted more like he was a cog in the team that needed to do its job to make things run well, but was never supposed to step out of that job and go, you know what, guys, I got you. I'm going to do something great here. He didn't think like that. He just didn't. And when they started floating rumors that Derek Carr would be willing to make a negotiation to come back for one more year to protect Fernando, let him stay on the bench, and groom him as a quarterback, no. Kirk Cousins knows winning. Not only does Kirk Cousins know winning, he has personally, on his arm and decisions, won multiple big games. Okay? Can we say that about Derek Carr? No, we cannot. No, we cannot. Just be honest. Look, I'm as Raider fan as you are. Just be honest. It's not hate on him. It's just what it is. It just is what it is. Sam Darnold was not number one, but was coached by our coach, and he won. I've never been down on Sam Darnold. If you look back, way back when he was, tinkering around with the Niners, and I saw what he was doing with the Niners, I'm like, guys, I mean, this guy's for real now. I wanted him. I wanted Sam Darnold, honestly. So your argument, I'm with you. Another JPJ OG dunker, Iowa, nasty, looks like a Raider for the third round, pick number 67. Okay, now Matt, I like that pick, but I like your pick. I like everything about your comment. The only thing I would put on your comment is I don't know if they're going to use that at 3, because at 1 we're getting Mendoza, but then at 2 there's talk of a safety. I've heard them talk about the safety from Iowa. So I don't know what the second picks got weird. Now, as far as people who say drop back for more picks, the only reason you can't do that is because you can't pass on a franchise quarterback. You can't. You can't, guys. I realize that you're giving me logic. Trading down, more picks, higher in the second and third and fourth round picks, multiple picks in the third and fourth, blah, blah. I get it. But it's a quarterback. When it's a quarterback and your team needs a quarterback, Now, I also got asked about AOC. And is AOC long for the Raiders? No, he's not. AOC probably won't start the season with us. And it's because you don't want to pay a guy that much to be your number 3. You know what I mean? Because there's no way they're going to put Mendoza at 3. You know what I mean? Even if it wouldn't be an insult to him, and it wouldn't, I don't think they're going to do that. You know what I mean? It's possible, but I doubt it. Kirko is going to start. Then you're going to have Mendoza. Then you're going to have someone else. I just don't think they're going to want to pay AOC what they have to pay him, or what they are paying him to be the number 3, especially when you could move the guy and he still has value, because most other analysts in the NFL, they're going to see AOC as a messed up project by us. That not even necessarily insulting the Raiders. They're just basically saying our team had so many problems in so many areas, you can't really evaluate AOC fairly. You know what I mean? And so there's going to be guys out there who think that you scrap anything you saw from AOC with the Raiders. Bring him in, and if you have a good quarterback coach, a good offensive coordinator that know how to work with him and get him up to speed, hey man, I've been look, I don't back down. If I end up being wrong, I'll be wrong. I'm the first one to admit it. I'm not one of these guys that does a show and says I'm perfect and everything I say is right, even if I am usually right. The R8RBEAR. Now, you have to pick him first. If you trade down, we'll get humiliated, because then we're still looking for a quarterback. Kirk Cousins, although I like Kirk Cousins, he's nobody's future. He is nobody's future. Now, when he was with Atlanta this last run, the last team he was with, that he was running with, he got mad because they brought in the future when they told him he was going to be the guy there. Well, once that happened to him, it brought him all the way around to, okay, this is what the NFL sees me as, even if I don't see myself this way, even if I don't play like a backup quarterback. The NFL is saying, hey, Kirko, you're a 2 and a 1 to keep the seat warm for whoever they just pulled out of college. And he basically made it very clear. He said he knows that's what he's coming in to do for the Raiders, that he has the starting job, but that Mendoza is the future. So he knows it could be a year, it could be 2 years, who knows? And then they'll probably move on from Kirko. Where? Oh, Minnesota is way better, bud. I would agree Minnesota is way better. JPJ is a depth piece. I would not rely on him as long with Colton Miller both hit all the time. They need depth. Well, no, I'm not. Of course we need depth. Yeah, I completely agree, especially when you consider Miller's been getting chippy these last like 2-3 years. He's had little things he's had to do. Just seen the 30 for 30 Tuck Rule episode the other night. So you're very mad. Woke up in a sweat like it was a nightmare. I like how they did the whole what if role, reverse dramatization. Damn, what could have been? Yeah. Kuntz out, foot's in him. I will do that. We need to put foots in. I've had enough of Kuntz. We got to be better than Kuntz. If we can't get, if Kwity Paye doesn't outplay Kuntz in camp, cut him. Anyone we bring in that can't outplay Kuntz, I immediately want cut. Bill, I did go over the AOC thing, but just in case you weren't in the room, I am still a loyal fan of AOC. I think wherever he goes, he's going to do well. Because statistics are sort of my thing, I looked up what you said about quarterbacks drafted first overall. There's been a handful of them that have won the Super Bowl. Terry Bradshaw, John Elway, the Manning brothers, Matthew Stafford, Jim Plunkett, and Drew Bledsoe. Okay. Now, see, you told me a story. I did not realize that many guys had won from the number one position. How good is this Juan Jennings guy? Good enough for it to be taken seriously. Not a fair assessment of Carr versus Cousins, considering he had no defense, and the only time he had the same coordinator was with sorry Gruden. Cousins, in my opinion. Carlos, I agree. I'm only simply saying, I don't want to seem like I'm just being nice to everyone. I'm going to explain myself. I think that he had more moments of raising the level of his play in order to be great and be the reason we won football games. I'm not saying Derek Carr never did that. I'm saying it wasn't as frequent as it is with Kirk Cousins. That's it. That's without making an argument about who had a defense and who had what coach. And, you know what I mean? Obviously, we know Derek Carr didn't have, the right pieces around him for a 9-year stretch. They just couldn't get a combination right. They couldn't keep Khalil Mack. They couldn't get Khalil Mack help, et cetera, et cetera. Denzel Boston, wide receiver at number 2. John, I actually saw that brought up too. They like him a lot. I don't know that it will happen. It could just be talk, because the same article you saw, I saw, and I noticed that the reporter asked them if there was another way they could go. And then they brought up Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington. And they were saying that, though, speculating. Now, if they do it, I mean, I got to believe he's going to be there. And sometimes that's an indictment on the player. If you know he's going to be there in the early second round, is he, a guy you want at your X position? You know what I mean? And then I heard they're really high on that kid, Elijah Sarrat, who is his teammate and kind of his like third down back. So I'm thinking that they may go that route and then look for someone else. Maybe in the third or fourth round. Yeah, fourth round probably with a wide receiver, I would think. I hope. Chico Cantu, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Chico Cantu. You know my view on what our second round pick should be. Yeah, and Joe, I'm with you. I think we should go either with an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. I know you want a defensive lineman. Now, there was a move made very quickly to get Thomas Booker, the guy we brought in from the Super Bowl champion Eagles, played defensive tackle for us, ends up being a pretty damn good Raider. The guy can play ball. Well, he's got a new contract. He's already in the building. So we moved quickly to secure him. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but in my history, that usually means that that's where they're going to draft young, and they want the young player to have a mentor, just like you do with quarterbacks. You do it with every other position too. It's just not usually made such a big deal like it is at quarterback. But I think that might be a sign that they are going to go with someone in this draft that's a powerhouse defensive tackle. I'm saying defensive tackle because I think if we go offensive line, they'll do that later. Okay, my guy Troy Gill says, yes, you can. And next year's quarterback class will be a lot better. Well, Troy, but there's no telling what we'll get as a draft pick next year. So what if we get the 7th pick? You know what I mean? Or the 9th pick? That's a good first round pick, but it's not going to get a quarterback. See, we have the one right now. That's what you have to factor in, Troy, as well. We have enough picks. If anything, we can trade up. Yeah, Craig, we do. We have 10 picks, and some of them in multiple in the same round. So that's value because you can give away one of those multiples, include it in a package with something else, and bam, you're going up in the draft. But do you see someone, Craig, that we can't get at 2, 3, and 4? Because if you look closely at our second, third, and fourth picks, they're high second, third, and fourth picks. So we're not waiting on the board forever to get out our second, our third, and our fourth pick, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's after that we start to go down. But if you could drop 10 spots in the second to get more picks, might be worth it. Again, can't argue with that. No on dropping back for more picks. Mark, I get what John the Leon is saying, but I'm a firm believer in you go with the best guy on the board. You know, when you're trading back, you're saying your team is garbage. I'm not willing to go to garbage. You know what I mean? I feel like we struggled last year. I think a lot of that had to do with the quarterback situation and the situation between the head coach and the offensive coordinator, who were trying to run different offenses at first, basically. We know now that has come out. Pete Carroll had to actually go upstairs or in the locker room or wherever and tell Jim Kelly, or whatever his name is, I'm calling this offense. We're running what I want to run. Call what I tell you to call. And, you know, can't have that. We have players on the O-line. Yeah, but we do have to get better, though, Mark. We do have to get better. So Carr went to the Saints, and Carr fans said he had everything he needed, and Carr fans are funny, aren't they? Yes, they do love that man. And when he got to the Saints, you know, he didn't really have success. He got into 3 separate fights, one of which he got into on the field, and they were all with his own teammates. Make that make sense. Tell me where you've ever heard of that, where a quarterback went to another team and multiple guys on the team, before he's even been there for a few months, are getting into fist fights with him, and he's your leader, your QB1. If you answered my question, I missed it. What's your opinion of replacing Carlson with Matt Gay at kicker? Personally, I don't like the idea and think it was a mistake. I don't like that. I always lean toward the veteran, but Carlson did have some shaky, you know, I mean, there's a reason they're looking at him. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean I agree with Gay, but, you know, to me, I just expect our kicker to make his kicks when we need him. When you're putting a guy out there to kick a 44-yard field goal, a 55-year-old, a 55 foot. Now I'm saying putts. Now I'm in golf. Whenever you have a guy out there kicking a 50-yarder or more, I mean, I'm not ready to really go down on that guy because he might have missed a couple from 48 or 52, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, it can mean the difference between a win or a loss, but I don't think that that's a reason to give up on a guy until it becomes consistent. And I wouldn't say Carlson's consistently bad by any stretch. Matt Marinovich says Carr before 2016 was the man, but after his injury, he was never the same since. Yeah, he broke bones with that defensive lineman or linebacker with the Indianapolis Colts, and I agree. He just wasn't the same guy after that. I've heard Serratt come up a lot for us in the later rounds. Yeah, it was 6th or 7th round, but they might go get him if there's a lot of movement at wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up pulling the trigger with a late 4th, early 5th, 5th round pick. We need another wide receiver and a defensive tackle. Mark, completely agree, but I think I would draft the defensive tackle before the wide receiver because I feel like wide receiver is, well, I mean, I don't feel like it. It's a skilled position, but there's a lot of guys who can play that position. Whereas with defensive tackle, getting consistent, tough guy, stuff the middle production can be very hard. It takes a special kind of guy to be in there for all that banging. Tanamoko said third round, I heard. Okay. Sean Scott, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Now is not the time to fall back. Either trade up or pick best available. I kind of agree with that. I'm going best available. But moreover, if there's someone on the board that everyone's blown away that this guy's still on the board, like at wide receiver or running back, I'm pulling the trigger. Even if we do have Ashton Genty, it's no disrespect to him. But I would look him right in his face and remind him, this is a man's sport. And some of you new age players are getting a little bit soft because you don't want anyone on the roster that threatens your job. Well, if they are, be better than they are. Then they won't be threatening your job. Iron sharpens iron. And if you don't feel like you're the best at your position and that you can beat out anyone else, there's the exit. You know what I'm saying? He better think like that. If you make trade with the Jets and get 2 first-round picks this year and next year's draft, well, Troy, but Troy, picks are a mystery. They're always a mystery. Players are not. So if you blindly take picks and then the draft comes up later on next year and the year after that, there's no telling what those picks' value will actually be, or if the players that you get with them will turn out to be anything. I'm not saying that applies to all picks, but future first rounders, I mean, I like it, but I don't know that that's going to get us to our rebuild. I think it just has to be smart football analysis. See talent, find talent, perform. Bill Cox, I do think the Warriors will make the playoffs, and I think their game win last night with Al Horford hitting 4 threes in the fourth quarter. Is that guy tasty, old man, or what? I mean, just tasty. He's like fine wine. And yes, I have the Warriors as an upset in the first round. Now, I don't think the Warriors are going to get through the second and third round, but I think whoever we're playing in the first is going to see a buzzsaw coming, because what we just did in that last game was impressive. Okay, it just was. It took an entire team effort. We were being held down almost the entire game by the Clips. Kawhi Leonard was having another Kawhi Leonard game. He was being amazing. And then we went, you know what? We're going to double Kawhi for the rest of this game. The entire fourth quarter, we're going to dub him up on defense. And you make us, you find a way to beat us with someone else. And they couldn't. I think that will happen to a lot of teams. If the Warriors go in with that same philosophy, double their star, work the bench, we're going to beat some people. I'd say we might even win in the second round, but I don't want to seem too arrogant. I already have a problem with that. R8RBEAR! I'm so excited about this season, man. I really am. I'm not ready to get too high yet on the season because I want to see what we do with our draft first. I think if we make real smart picks, that this is going to be this is going to be amazing, man. Branch's nephew in the fourth would be nice. I actually saw that, Matt. I like that. I agree. I think Spytech will go best player available again this year after Mendoza. Again, completely agree. And also, wait a minute, and Sean Scott agrees 100%. Appreciate the love. And I would remind all of you, the stuff, I think I addressed this immediately at the beginning of the show, but if I didn't, I want to just bring it up again briefly. This stuff you're hearing about teams calling in for our first round pick, that's just due diligence. You wouldn't be a smart franchise if you didn't at least reach out to the Raiders and say, hey, are you guys, solid on that one pick? Or if someone comes with some big package, would you be interested? Now, once you ask that question, the Raiders can only really give 2 answers. No, we're not interested, or what'd you have in mind? Now, if you say, no, we're not interested, you're saying basically we're going with Mendoza and that's it. Don't even ask us about the pick. You're being stupid. But if you say you're open to something, that doesn't mean that you don't want to get out from that first round pick, but it means it's possible. You're thinking about it. Why would you be thinking about it when you know you need a franchise quarterback? You know you've got a number one in your hand, a guy that scouts are saying is a surefire starter in the NFL, but you're thinking about it? And I can tell you the Raiders aren't thinking about it. Spytek shut them all down. He shut them all down. Just like Troy Gill was saying, there was an offer from someone, I don't know who it was, but they offered 2 first-round picks and a first-round pick the following year. So, in effect, 3 first-round picks. Well, in fact, it was even crazier than that. If I remember correctly, it was 2 first-round picks this year, a first-round pick in 2027, and a first-round pick in 2028. That's what it was. And we turned that down fast. So, see, to me, that's knowledge on Spytek or whoever made that decision. We may never know exactly who made that decision, but if it was Spytek, that's more points to Spytek and us, and our grading of Spytek year by year and what he's doing for us. And then in his 3rd or 4th season, we have to talk about our grading of Spytek. So far, that statement and that decision to me is exciting. You're saying, even though you're offering that just cavalcade of picks, woo, big words, we need Mendoza. And we do. We need Mendoza. It makes us look bad if we don't kick the tires on Mendoza. You got to take him out there and kick the tires. And I love the fact that they're protecting the investment with a warranty in Kirk Cousins. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The move's already made. Everyone calling about the first, it's just inquiring. There's no way that the Raiders give up the 1. Well, Bob, we did beat the OKC Thunder, though, one time, if I'm not mistaken, this year. And more importantly, I know you know this because you're a real hardcore fan. The OKC has looked way more vulnerable this year than they did last year. You know what I mean? That championship hangover seemed like it was bothering him. And then that guy, Lou Dort, was, he's worse than Draymond Green. I know, right? That's a statement. If you say someone's dirtier than Draymond Green, that's like, remember that old wrestler, Bad News Brown, and he would just chop everybody in their throat and make them, like they were dying because he was so dirty. And then the crowd, shut up. I'm going to do it again. Give him that throat chop. That was a throat chop. Let's see if Bud Clark also for another 4th would be good too. Free safety. Yeah, I don't mind that. In the 4th, I like it. In my opinion, whatever your strategy is in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, if we get our offensive lineman in the 4th instead of the 5th, great. But if we get him in the 5th instead of the 4th, I don't care. Once you get out of the first 3 rounds, and obviously there's talent and guys who've gone on to amazing careers that were 4th-round picks, Max Crosby, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Joe Montana was a 6th-round pick. Our minority owner was a 6th-round pick. So, there's talent in the entire draft. What sets the good teams apart are the ones who can find those guys in 5, 6, and 7 that make the team and end up becoming real players. Maybe not necessarily stars, but they remain on the roster. They're a great backup, or they just become a very capable starter. I could see that with Spytek. I'm starting to see it. I really do believe. I love the Dante Thornton pick. I love the Jack Besh pick. I love the Brock Bowers pick. I love the Ashton Genty pick. So far, as far as his kids, not the, some of these other free agent moves he's made, but not all of them. I don't hate all of them. I hate some of them, but his picks for kids, so far, so good. So I think there's a good chance, and I'm going to say this honestly, because I don't like bringing up things and then sitting on the fence. You should either be in or be out. Okay. I'm in on Spytek now. I am. I was cautiously optimistic because Tom wanted to bring him in, and that made me feel like, well, then Tom's going to be making all these picks, and Spytek's just here as a puppet yes man that he's going to give orders to. And we found out pretty quickly that wasn't the case. Now, after the players I just mentioned, now if we see this draft, and we have 10 picks, if he can get 5 players, and they don't have to all be stars, but if he can get 5 players that latch onto this team and make contributions, I consider that a success. You don't have to everyone doesn't have to be a star. For example, he's going to get Mendoza. He's going to be a star. Not this year, But next season, they're not going to let Kirk throw the rock too long, even if he really wins. He'd have to get us in the playoffs and really threaten a Super Bowl to get another full season. Not another full season. It'll probably be, you know what I mean? And for example, I don't even know how many years the Raiders gave him. And so I'm saying this out loud so you see how serious I am about this. Even if the Raiders gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year deal, they're going to look at him side-eye in year 2. Promise you. Because of Fernando Mendoza, what he'll be doing in camp by that point, because he's going to be composed. He's going to have Kubiak's offense now. I don't want to see, once I heard the plan to have Kirk Cousins start, Kubiak build Fernando and his confidence and his knowledge of the team and its offense for the entire 2027 season, or 26 season, and then start grooming him, getting ready for the following year, I'm on board. I like the idea of protecting the first round investment. Todd, come on. I gave the Warriors 30 seconds. You're crazy. Bill Cox, we still have Zeus, obviously Ashton Genty, and I think that guy Abdullah, I think he's still with us too. Sorry, I'm not in that mode right now, knowing the whole roster. I've been more focused on the draft and all the coaching staff and what we're doing and blah, blah, blah. Troy Gill says Mendoza is going to be a bust. Troy, I'm going to disagree with you only because I know that you're thinking about what you saw him do at the college level, and you can't do that, brother. You have to just look at him and the tools. The things he did at quarterback, good or bad, neither one carries really any weight with NFL coaches. They just want to see that he can stay healthy, see what kind of arm he has. Is he strong? Or is he more of an accuracy guy? Does he put a nice touch on the ball? Or is he, Brett Favre and he has a bazooka arm? They want to know that. That's about it. After that, they're going to work on or change his mechanics. They're going to work him into an offense he's probably never run before. It's going to have variations he's probably never run before. And so I like the protection idea with him. So your prediction that he'll be a bust, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying it's a long shot that he'll be a bust because they're actually bringing him in and preparing him the right way. These initial steps to me look like success for Mendoza in the future. I think Crosby will be good, but not great. That's why we should trade him, especially since he is on his last leg. John, he's not on his last leg. That's an over-exaggeration by you. Because you're hoping someone with the Raiders is listening, and they are. But he is not. I'm telling you, I've seen 2 interviews with the doctor that he got the knee done with, and he said that it was absolutely positively ridiculous for the Ravens to even imply that he failed his physical because of that knee. The same knee that they knew about and still traded for him. Then he gets there. They do the most basic touch, look at him and say he failed. No x-rays, none of that. Just cough. Hit his knee with one of those little tension hammers. And then that's it. And then they made him sit around the facility for 5 hours before they finally had the nerve to walk up to him like a man and tell him that they were backing out of the deal, like dirty, backstabbing, carrying an ace in your pocket at the poker table, putting butts in them, cowards. Kawhi Leonard will be traded. I can't talk about it anymore, John. Todd will bite my head off. Matt Marinovich, Joe is a 3rd-round pick. I'm all over tonight. I thought he was a 6 too. You better not be messing with me, Matt, and you better be right, because if I find out you're not right, you're going to be in real trouble. Alexa, raise volume by 4. Alexa, what round was Joe Montana drafted in?
Joe Montana was drafted in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. as the 82nd overall pick.
Okay, wait a minute. Alexa, what round was Tom Brady drafted in?
Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round.
Yes! See, I got that scrawny, pasty bum right. Ooh, it was a tuck. Go sit down. Wonder what your wife is doing with her new husband, the karate instructor that she already married and gave a baby to. Clearly, she was torn leaving you. I gotta be honest. I really do hope that Tom Brady sees my show. I really do. I want him to know the level of disgust that Raider Nation still holds for him. Oh, it's here. Craig Gilmore, appreciate the love, brother. Naked Raider, we cannot trade Deuce Gruden. And apparently we can't fire him. That guy's, man, he's a tick on a dog. His dad's a disgrace, run off the team. And next year, who's in there at the strength conditioning? Little Deuce. Bill, I like him. Yeah, I like him. I like the kid from Ohio. I do. I like him. I've been on his bandwagon from the beginning. I wanted them to pick him. Most of you who really know my show know that I actually picked that pick. I was saying this is the linebacker I want from Ohio State, and then they picked him. So that doesn't say a lot about me, other than that I'm kind of on a wavelength with the Raiders. Sometimes get information that other people don't get. How else could I be right that often? Come on, think. I can't say who and I can't say why, but there is a presence with the Raiders that doesn't mind talking to the Raider Bear every once in a while, letting me know about things. Alexa, create an announcement.
What would you like to announce?
Raiders! She let me down. What, come on. You were supposed to shout for me, Alexa. What was that? Jeez. Tanamoku said, I saw a report about the Ravens maybe trading for Pickens. Maybe Jerry sent his doctor to sabotage Max's trade so he can get that first-round pick. Well, no, Tana. What ended up happening was he sandbagged us on the pick, sent Max Crosby home, then reached out for Trey Hendrickson and was able to get the defensive end Trey Hendrickson without giving up any number one picks, whereas the Raiders had convinced them to give up 2 number one picks. So they just realized that they were overpaying and could get another guy that's, statistically at least about as good or the same player. And so they backed out of the deal and backstabbed us and did, bad work. The Ravens had buyer's remorse because they were giving up the 2 first-rounders. Hendrickson at a better value. They're in trouble and can't afford to lose the first-round picks. Armando, they realized that, but they realized it after the fact. That's the problem I have. And by the way, it's the 3rd time that they've done this to teams where they had absolutely done deal. Both teams say done deal, and then a little bit goes time passes, and then they back out of it. And it's always them. It's never had anything to do with the other side, like it was with us. Arnie Garza, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Appreciate the salute. If Crosby has any help at all on the other side, I see him having 14 sacks this year. Book it. Joe, I'm not willing to go that high, but only because of the knee. I would say this too, because he is still healing. That's a fact. So even though the knee is still banged up, it's not an issue, okay? Everyone that has anything to do with his circle and his situation is saying that the knee issue is an afterthought, that by the time we break camp, he's going to be 1,000,000%. Not 100, 1,000,000. So I don't see there being a problem, but he is older. It is a bad knee, and it might be in here a little bit. I could see Max, like maybe downshifting just a little bit those first few games to make sure that the knee can take the pounding. But once he feels it and feels good, he'll turn it up and he'll have a good season. Now, the season after, in other words, not this impending season, but the next one with Kwity Paye, if Kwity Paye can get at least 6 or 7 sacks, then I'm in agreement with you the next year when he is beyond the injury, feels like he's, back to 1,000% and isn't even thinking about that knee. No knee brace, no knee sleeve, just let's go, rip off heads. When he's to that, and I think it will take one season for him to get back to that, he knows he's a Hall of Famer. You can't go into next season, or at least I know I wouldn't, and just suddenly go back into Tasmanian devil mode. He's got to go out there and kind of walk that knee through the process, go after quarterbacks, hit offensive linemen, but do it a little bit slower, a little bit keyed down a little bit with the energy. Feel it. Don't get hurt. Feel it strong. And then, okay, I could see him this coming season in week like 4 or 5, feeling like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then he'll explode. And I could see double-digit sacks for Max, but maybe not 14, maybe 11, somewhere between like 9 and 11. I would say the cap would be 11 and the base would be 9. But the season after that, I'm giving him double digits for sure, because we'll have a year under our belt with this rebuilt defense that's got some guys on it. So once they all get together and they start knowing each other, I could see it next season or season after this one. Joe, I kind of wish we played the Ravens too, because I know Max would want to rip that quarterback's head off, and I don't care who it is, Lamar Jackson or whoever else, they would get their head torn off. Ravens need that first-round pick to get their starting center. You mean the one they missed out on? That's another reason Matt Marinovich brings up that's important too. A lot of people know that the Ravens were very, very in the sweepstakes to get Tannenbaum, the big center from the Giants that we got because he's so young and arguably the best in football. Well, the Ravens got beat in those negotiations by the Raiders. So, they were probably a little bit hurt about that too. Bear, what's the biggest move so far by Spytech? Oh, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, in my opinion, is the entire team. And I mean that seriously. We can have a good defense. We can have a good coach, a good offense, all those things. But if Brock Bowers isn't Brock Bowers, we're going to have a hard time. Because remember, we're still looking for wide receivers. We're still trying to find out who's going to be our X. We're still trying to figure out who's going to be our slot guy. You know what I mean? And no one's really coming out of the blocks and taking the job. Especially our young crop from last season. They've been kind of timid, learning through the process. So to me, right now, the only guy that you have on this roster that really puts fear into other teams is Brock Bowers. Now, yes, on defense, Max Crosby, but as far as our offense, Brock Bowers. Now, Ashton Jeanty earned a lot of respect in the second half of the season. He started slow. We all remember that. And there was some responsibility on Brock Bowers' part. The offensive line, in my opinion, played better than people recognize, because there were holes open and plays where he was supposed to get the ball and then go right, and he would stutter step and go left. And then you would see the replay, the hole on the right side. But Ashton was using his eyes and trying to read and react instead of just following the play. Now, second half of the season, Ashton stopped guessing, started trusting the play call, and started breaking through holes and making big plays. So now, fast forward, he's not Josh Jacobs, but does he have a potential to be as good as Josh Jacobs? He absolutely has the potential. Whether he'll be able to do it is yet to be seen. But let's keep our fingers crossed for the idea that Ashton Jeanty is going to come around and become a great player. All right, that's my show. Much love. If you would, like and subscribe. And see me tomorrow night. R8R Bear family page. That's right. An exclusive Friday night show with your favorite bro, the R8R Bear. Shout out to our armed forces. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, for all you do. The energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice. Active and veteran, much love. I'll see you tomorrow night. R8R Bear family page. You know you need to hit like. You know you enjoyed this show. Stop lying. Now put them kids to bed.